How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video and the third discussion video from me on this channel, ScrubGames. And for today's one, I want to go over the... before I go over my next discussion topic, I wanted to go over and kind of just discuss my hopes and wishes for not just, even though the title just says Dragon Ball Super card game in 2020, or 2022, sorry. I also want there's also for things in future as well. So there's a lot of things that's happened in Dragon Ball Super. Like we got multicolors, we've had unisons. We're now on the second part of the unison warrior block, the boost one, and with the recent set that the first set we're getting for 2022, it's looking promising and looking like Bandai's taking a step in the right direction. Because if you look at the last two sets before set 16, they were very mediocre. Not many great things came out of it. We got a few staples for Yellow, because Yellow is the favorite child of Bandai, and we got some an interesting dead like Jiren. I think the set 14. I think, can't remember exactly, but in this video I just wanted to go over my hopes and wishes for Dragon Ball Super card game in the future. And yeah, just give my views on it. So, starting off, the first one is more wish leaders. So, wish is something that we got as a whole block, and that started off, I think it's actually the first block. No, it was the second block because the first one was overrun back after set 3, I think 3 and 4. But from set 5, I think, to just set 6, we had the Shenron's Wish block, and that introduced Wish Leaders, which is a new awakening mechanic and a new way to basically just a new mechanic for the game. And as a result, in the first set 5, every color got a Wish Leader. Now, the thing with this is that they were the first attempts by Bandai, and the idea behind Wish is really interesting because it's the most flavorful actually awakening to any leader, because with Dragon Ball, the whole thing of Dragon Ball is grabbing the Dragon Balls to make a wish, and that's how they incorporated into the leader, where you need to get all 7 Dragon Balls in your drop area to then activate Wish and flip over. You get something out of the Wish and flip over, but they didn't. It was the first attempt. They weren't designed very good, and as a result, none of these ones here that you see on screen were really any good. And from a few reasons. So they were the first attempts, so the first tries at it, and this is back when the game was a bit slower and still starting out, because it's only set 5. They were also difficult to flip over because you needed 7 Dragon Balls in the drop, so if you were going to get one of these and you were playing against aggro deck, you were going to struggle a bit, because it wasn't very quick to get the balls. You had a mulligan for the balls, social leader, and most of them, I think if not most of them, all of them had a way where you had to attack or do something specific to get 1 ball, which isn't great because you've got to get 7. And while the balls were 0-cost draw ones, like Upstart Goblins if you played Yu-Gi-Oh, you still had a hard time drawing into them unless you had additional support, and even then, the support for these this theme was very lackluster as well. There wasn't very many ways to get more balls or search for more. And as well as that, they had lackluster ultimate effects. So with the Wish Leaders, when they flipped over, the effect becomes an activate main where you choose one of 3 different things. So they all had either you draw 1, which is standard with most leaders, just when they awaken they just attack to draw 1, but this meant you just activate main to draw 1. They also, the second effect was to choose a desire card in your hand that had whose energy cost was equal to or less than the number of energy you've got, and play the activate main skill on it for free. So essentially playing a card for free from your hand, but you still lost that card, but you get to trigger it for free, which is pretty good. And at the time they released some pretty good desires, which since then have either been banned or neutered. And then their ultimate skill was one where you move the 7 Dragon Balls you put into the drop to flip over from your drop to remove them from the game, so they're gone now, like Dragon Ball Studio Scatter after you use a wish, and get a certain effect. But if you don't win at the end of that turn, you flip back up to your front side before you wished, and you're stuck in that position for the rest of the game. Now, the payoff for the potential to flip back over was never great with these first wish leaders, in the main set anyway. They always had very lackluster effect, and if you couldn't kill, you flipped over and you're basically dead after that. But Bandai did continue to improve on it, but we didn't get too many wish leaders during the block. Like in the first set 5 we got, because it only lasted 2 sets, we had a wish leader for each colour in the main set, and we made a starter deck to go with it. And then in the next set after, I think we only had 2, or I think maybe 2 in the set after. But then we had extra wish leaders, so in the next set after, there were 2 wish leaders, being this blue Dende and green Chila and Nemo, and then we got the Dende in a theme booster. And the Mechikabura is one we didn't get too long ago when we got during the Unison Wire blocks. They gave us another wish leader, but it was a different kind of wish. So with these new wish leaders, it was a lot easier. There are additional attempts at trying the wish mechanic, because the wish mechanic was very strong. It was it's not strong, but a strong idea. It was very interesting day and very thematic of Dragon Ball. They were also easier to flip over, like with the 2 Dende ones. It had an activate main where you burst 2, which means you mill the top 2 cards of your deck, switch it to rest, and search for 2 Dragon Balls. So you search for more Dragon Balls than the original ones did, and you had a chance of milling some balls as well. It was a lot easier to awaken. And with the Chile, it had this kind of same thing where you just activate main once per turn, look for a Dragon Ball either in your life or your deck, and add to your hand. And even though you only search for 1, green had probably the best way to be able to get balls and drop because of the support it was released over multiple different things. And then we have Mechikabura, which is a different kind of wish because it does wish to flip over, but when it's flipped over it's an awakened side. And it had a very easy way to get the balls because it also was swing to attack to choose up to 2 Dark Dragon Balls, and it had a archetype to it that made it very easily for very cheap to search for more or send balls from deck to drop. So the second attempt, they made it a lot easier to flip over by making it easier to get the Dragon Balls to drop. But the only issue with that was they still had lackluster ultimate effect skills. So with the yellow Dende into Piccolo, the ultimate skill was all about Namekians, but it was never played as Namekians, it was played as more of a Frieza deck. Then you had Chilai and Limo, which its ultimate skill wasn't that great. It's more the fact they could flip over and had a color combination to use the Awakened Power for the first theme booster, which and it can get you 2 super combos from deck, but that was more of like a win more when you could drop Awakened Power to win the game for that. And then the blue Dende one, that had when that came out and we got set 6, it had a whole theme with AOD where you can drop the secret rare Boo cheaply in that to spam a board of Agent's Destruction. But also had it was a pretty strong deck because of its cheap wish, but the ultimate skill was decent and used often for it, but it wasn't that strong. It wasn't the best ultimate skill. I could untap 2 energy, I think a draw 2, and that's it. But then you flip over it in the turn if you can't kill them that turn. And then Meki had a nice thing where it doesn't flip back over. It's a bit different to the other wish leaders, where it always had an auto to draw 1. Then you had to activate main to choose 2 different things, either still a battle card that's 4 cost or less from your opponent, doesn't have a barrier, and the cost to activate the skill was put a card to the bottom from your hand to the bottom of your deck. Or it had one almost like the wish leaders, where you remove the 7 Dark Dragon Balls you put in the drop from the game, and it gains triple attack for the turn. And since his auto attack wasn't once per turn, you got a draw on every single one of those, and that was pretty decent. But it was still held behind by being a wish leader and being sometimes hard to awaken, and the leader skill to get triple attack being quite easy to counter really as well. But then Bandai recently gave us a new wish leader in 16, so they're still supporting us with wish leaders, which is nice to see that they haven't forgot about it. But before we get into that, they also had, like, Wish has also had some busted wish leaders, and that is basically all the Dragon Ball ones have been either of like a busted, broken deck or extremely strong. So they all have busted. They're all busted attempts. They all were insanely flip over because none of them could attack. So you basically sacrifice your leader attack for very good skills, and they were easily able to flip over because the fact their activate main was just switch in rest mode, switch for 2 balls from your life or drop, which is essentially the same as the Dende's had, but you didn't have to burst anything, you just literally switch to rest and then switch for 2 balls. And that was very easy to do, and you can run in with like any different colour combination as well because they were just black leaders, and they were also sparking super combos which made it easier to use super combo without worrying about your life total. And Beyond the Awaken at a high life total was extremely helpful as well. And not only that, but they also had game-breaking ultimate effects. So each of these leaders had a busted deck behind them. So we had Shenron, like the original Shenron, Miraculous Revival Shenron. It had an effect where it can drop the old Gogeta Hero Revive to put your opponent, basically make your opponent shuffle their hand back into their deck and draw 3 random cards. And then you could use this ultimate skill to give it triple attack at 15k power. So it basically had, and even have a 4-drop Shenron that gave it critical. So then you had a triple strike, critical, triple attacker, and your opponent only had 3 cards in hand, and they weren't getting anything new. So unless they drew away to help defend the turn, they're just over from there, which is busted. Prunga had a very strong effect, where it was either used as the Ginyu spam one, where you could use the Player Desire to play out a promo Ginyu from the first tournament pack, spam a board of Ginyu, and then use the effect to bring out another Ginyu, which gave them all 10k boost, so they were all 20k, and you just went wide and constantly swung. But it also did have a busted version where it was abusing World Peace. Well, World Peace is one that is a 4-cost desire card, which when you use it, you can play something from your drop that has a cost equal to or less than your energy. So you try and ramp up this turn to 8 energy. Use 2 of them to bring out. Use 1 to bring out Gogeta 7 to put their hand back to make him draw 3. Bring out the dual color. Then use another 1 to bring out the 7-drop red ring Goku that can take a life to look at your opponent's hand and rip a card out of it. So put them down to 3, drop that, rip the 3 cards out of the hand, and also gains, if you put yourself to 1, gives itself like more skills. And then uses Leader's ultimate skill to remove 7 Dragon Balls to revive the Awakened power. So you rip the hand apart so you got nothing to defend with, and then swing with VS to just win. And then for Super Shenron, this is probably the most busted one, was a Tearzer deck, and its game-breaking ultimate effect was that when you remove the 7 Dragon Balls for its effect, essentially when you end your turn, you skip your opponent's turn and go back to having another turn yourself. So you essentially end your turn and start your turn again from scratch, from the start. And as a result, a lot of Wish stuff like the Desires got banned or ratted, and even Prunga and Super Shenron both got ratted to be like a lot weaker than they were. And this gets on to Bandai, in my opinion, making the ideal way to make a Wish leader, which is in set 16 with the Zamasu one that goes into Goku Black. So this is the latest attempt, as I just said. It's coming out in set 16, which comes out in March. It's easy to flip due to its alt condition. What I mean by that is, as we've seen, all the other Wish leaders have needed to have 7 Dragon Balls and drop the flip over. Zamasu, however, has 2 ways. You either get all 7 Dragon Balls and drop, or when you hit 3 or less life, you can then flip over that way. And it's got an easy way to get the Dragon Balls, because it's got an auto of when you attack, you can get 2 Dragon Balls from your life and or deck to your hand, and it shuffle what you look through. So not only do you get to look at your life like all the Wish leaders do, that's the big advantage about that, seeing what's in your life, but it's very easy to get the balls together. And it's also got a special Dragon Ball card that you can use from the set which is very strong. But the fact that it's got a alternative awakening condition, so if you can't get all the balls, you can still awaken, it's fantastic. It's what it should have been for all wish leaders, and hopefully do the same going forward. And then on its front side, it doesn't have the effect to play Desires for Free anymore like the rest of them did, but that's not that big of an issue. But also with its ultimate skill, it has a different skill and decent ultimate skill. So as I said, you can't play Desires for Free anymore, but you can either, and also when it awakens, just like with the Dragon Balls, when you do make your wish, they scatter. So to awaken, if you got any Dragon Balls in your drop, you place them all back in your deck, so they scatter to do your wish, to flip over, and then they're ready to gather again to try and make it never a wish. So because of that, the leader either, for its effect, either draws one card, could choose a Dragon Ball from your deck out to your hand, so get the Dragon Balls back again, or use his ultimate skill, which is remove 7 Dragon Balls from the drop, play a 2-cost Zamasu with Indestructible from your 2 or less, with Indestructible from your warp to the board, and give it triple attack. But the good thing about that is it doesn't, unlike the rest of the wish leaders, flip over at the end of turn. So once you make your wish, it doesn't flip over, revert back to Zamasu. Now that is because it's flavor wise. With it's not gonna, it doesn't make a wish to switch back to Zamasu. He stays as Goku Black then. But it's also like how the anime is, where once you make a wish, unless you get the balls to reverse that wish, that's it, it's permanent, which is what it should have been for all the wish leaders in my opinion. And this design for a wish leader is fantastic, and I hope they print more wish leaders and make them like this. This is the perfect way to make a wish leader. And that's it for the first point. So for the second point, we want more. I'd like to have more in-person events. Like personally myself, I do not enjoy webcam events. I think for like almost every webcam event that's ever been since COVID started, there's been someone who has been caught cheating in each event. It's not great. It's not great look for the game. It's not great when it happens to you, and as a result, like some people avoid playing in webcam events. A lot of people don't enjoy them, and I for one am one of those people, and I'd rather judge an old webcam event than play in one. I've played in some, but they were enjoyable at the time, but I was quite lucky not to come to any issues when playing them. But apart from that, I'm doubtful to playing them again. I'm waiting until we can get in-person events again. But luckily, Bandai have actually answered that request already, because they're giving us a new event called, what's it called? Dragon Ball Super Card Game Fest, which is a very nice one because it gives you participation. It also has a Vault Pack, a Unison set, and also has gave us the reveals of Event Pack 9, which is great, so we get to see the latest Event Pack, and also is doing what they've been trying to do with Secret Rares, giving us reprinting Secret Rares, but with alternative conditions as well as alternate arts. So for this one, for the participation set, it's not too bad. We got a first look at 2 of the new cards from the Android Ultimate deck, because we're getting an Ultimate deck this year based on the Androids from what the information we got last year was. And we get some some cards as well for participation, which are quite decent. And also they did mention in the post that all the cards that we're getting as prizing and participation, you get them as alternative art or alternative backgrounds. And imagine the alternative backgrounds is just for the event pack, because they're normally the same art with a Unison Warrior Series boost kind of background. And as well as that, they'll also be stamped as well, like we've seen with previous ones, like for the finals. So imagine to be stamped in this, but then alternate art and or alternative backgrounds, which will look quite nice. And these ones are quite good, decent ones. So as Turtles All Too Easy is quite a new one, and is one that a lot of people want. If yellow, it's a good yellow staple. Same with Frieza Divine Transformation. Broly is Broly. It's a collectible one. Gotenks is a good one because that was a popular deck and probably still is at the moment for some people that play green. And yeah, the rest of them are quite decent. Not too bad, not the best, but not the worst picks. And then for the Vault set, we've got an interesting one. So we've got like most of the time they put brand new cards in it. And for this one we got Realm of the Gods, Black Kamehameha as one of the newest cards in it as well. And there's some quite good cards as well, because you get like the ones I'm looking for this is mainly Bojack the Evildoer, because I play Bojack. But there's a lot of nice cards that get alternative art and or stamps. Well, definitely stamps and potentially alternative art. And it'd be a nice way for another way to get these cards in different arts to bring out your deck. And not only that, but with the Vault set, there is also a Unison set, so a set dedicated to Unisons. And it has a lot of good Unisons that are highly played in the meta right now. So you've got Mecha Kabura is a very strong one. You've got Baby, which is a very good one for blue. It's almost a staple for blue if you're playing Soul Striker. Piccolo being their best red Unison. Majin Buu being the best blue Unison. And SS Trunks being one of the best yellow Unisons in the game at the moment. And then for the bottom row, with the newest edition, with Great Priest being one of the Unisons, and the other one Unisons being more cards that you can get in alternate arts for your decks if you played it, like Toa for Senzino, Dark Broly for Broly, Toa for just black decks in general, and Scions for the if you want to play that Gogeta package, the SS4 Gogeta package. And then finally we get onto the event pack reveal. So, I think I might have forgotten them. I think I might have, or it might be next. But there's also event pack reveals. But if I've forgotten for this episode of this discussion video, it'll be in my previously in DBS as I go over the news of the week. But also as well, Bandai are doing a secret rare for the winner, and you get a normal secret rare and the winner secret rare. And I know there have been people asking, and like how it's brought up in my Discord and stuff. The secret rare isn't for participation. Like they've already shown what you get for participation from the 10 cards from the participation pack. The secret rare is going to be for winning the event, or like doing quite well in the event. Because I've never given out a secret rare for participation apart from unless it's a promo, which was a promo secret. And it's a really good one. Like Supreme Card Time is a very strong secret rare in the meta. Very valuable as well. It's hard to get because it's very generic, and is a fantastic one from the reprint. And then we have the next topic. The third topic is more characters. Now, looking at the game at the moment, Bandai have almost covered every character. Almost, not every character though. Like there are still a lot of favorite characters from certain Dragon Ball series, and I'd like to see more characters because, like I think I've calculated before, like Goku's got. I know Goku's like the protagonist for Dragon Ball, but he's got 30 leaders, which is at least 10 or 20 more than most most characters, which is crazy. Like even in the latest set, we're getting 2 Goku leaders in the same set, which is a bit dumb. But I would like to see more characters brought into games. Like this, there are a few that I've looked into that I thought would be pretty cool to have. And first one will be Monster Carrot from the Dragon Ball anime, like the original Dragon Ball. There's also Tiencha, which not sure if we can ever get this one because it's a fusion from the game. I remember it was in Budokai, the Budokai series. I thought it was a pretty good one. It's a fusion of Yamcha and Tien. I'd love to have that. And also the Para brothers from GT. They were quite funny. They didn't appear much in it, so I'm not sure if you can make a proper art style on it. But they did with the the Machine Mutants with Rildo. Those Machine Mutants weren't around for that long, but they made a cards of that, so they probably do it with Para brothers as well. They were quite funny and quite interesting characters as well. Those are the ones that would be a wish list that are like a kind of side characters. I'm not sure if they can or will want to do. But they're ones that I thought would be quite interesting. But ones that they probably should do, can do, and should do is the Red Ribbon Army. So like we've seen they've done Dragon Ball stuff, but we've got a few Red Ribbon cards, but we haven't got a proper Red Ribbon Army deck, which would be a nice theme to see. Like, because there's a lot of different characters in it. And there's a lot of potential to do, and it's a whole saga in Dragon Ball, so this is one I'd be like to see. And then lastly, Otherworld Tournament. Like one of my favourite things from Dragon Ball, like set wise, was when we had theme boosters. And Of the other World Tournament saga, even though it was non-canon, it was just filler for the Dragon Ball Z anime, this could have potentially been a very, very cool theme booster idea. Because there's 4 different main colors, like with the theme booster 2, they had the 4 main colors, and black is a supporting one. And in that you could have each of the quadrants as a color. So on the north quadrant with King Kai, I know he's east, I can't remember which Kai is which, but you can have each quadrant separated into a certain color. And then for black you could have the Kais as support, like Grand Kai as a leader amid the poem altogether, like Announcer was, and then the Kais just like never black cards to support the different quadrants. And that would be pretty cool. And like we got Pycon already from it in the game, even though its deck was basically a Go cheated deck with Pycon on the label. But it'd be quite cool to get that added to it. And that is it for those ones. So now we have the 4th one, being bringing back theme boosters. We just went over theme boosters, and I would love to bring back theme boosters. Like it was a real shame when they decided to stop discontinue it. But it was really good. Like they did mess up a bit with set 2, the second theme booster, because the theme booster we got was the first one was Tournament of Power. So this is one based on the Universal Survival Saga, when all the most of the universe had to fight together to avoid being erased. And in that, each color had one Universe 7 lead, and then a universe lead for a certain one. So for red, it was Universe 6, blue it was Universe 9, green it was Universe 2, and yellow it was Universe 11. And there were no black cards at that point because we hadn't got black as a proper color by that set, which was an expansion at the time. And that was a pretty good set. It was really nice to like explore different universes. It was quite a cool concept. But then I think it went downhill when they did the second one, which was World Martial Arts Tournament. Now this is a one where they decided to do link cards. So these are cards that require never a specific card to be on board with it to gain skills. And where they're quite high costing and not the easiest to play, it didn't really function well. There were some things in there that functioned quite well. There's some decent leaders like the Hercule leader and Jackie Chan. But as a whole, we're going on to have for a card to function, have a never card on board was quite difficult. They even had to bring out a power booster set to give some card support to kind of make them a bit more playable, but they still weren't very playable, and they weren't very great. And because of that, it was not that sought after to get, because there's no real chase cards like the old one was, like some of the good, really good supers and a secret rare. And in this set, there wasn't many cards that chase worthy, so the set kind of flopped. And so like they just basically ended it with a third one being Class of H, which was actually a really good one, I feel, because I think in every single color apart from blue, it had a very strong deck. So in red, it had the Frieza army. Yeah, it had Frieza with its Frieza army. It was all mostly from the Frieza saga, and it had Frieza giving us our second swap deck being a red Frieza swap deck. So first time swap was released, it was in yellow in a main series set, and in this one it gave us a red version going over Frieza transforming as you went up the swap chain. And then for green, it had Clash Q, which is still a very strong leader today, like a very strong leader and very decent at the time. For yellow, it gave us the Yellow Wish Dende leader, which we saw previously when we go to Wish leaders, which is a very good one and a very good deck created by Danny Hype back ages ago now, and actually did quite well and was very strong. And then in black, it had the Purunga lead, which, as I said, had two different really strong types, being the Ginyu Spam one and the World Peace build. And as I said, the only colour that wasn't actually great was Bardock's Crew, because Bandai just seemed to hate Bardock and just screw him over, because he was even now just a very poor card, and they basically refused to make a new leader for him. So Bardock's Crew is not getting supported in the blue archetype or blue yellow. And as I said, they were very good. It was very good sets in my opinion. It's just a pity they stopped it, and it would be nice to bring them back. And as I said, like a good a good pick with it, for a good theme for it, would be Otherworld Tournament. And there are probably ever good themes they could do for it. It'd be nice to have this, even if they do it once a year. That would still be cool. It was a very good idea in my opinion. And then for the fifth one would be more surge leaders. Now this might sound, I think anybody watching this will probably think that's a bad idea because of how surge was, but Bandai have shown us that they can kind of balance surge leaders to make them not too busted. So if you are brand new and you don't know what surge leaders are, they're basically multicolored leaders that have a new awaken called Surge Awaken. And by that, what Surge Awaken did is you didn't have to go to a certain life total or a certain condition to awaken. You just, at any point in the game, you just put down 2 cards on your leader, being one of each of the colors in your leader. So if you had a red-green leader, you need to put 1 red card and 1 yellow card under, or 1 green card under it, if it's a red-green. So then flip over and you got a certain skill. And their skills were boosted as well, like they had a stronger awakening skill. And the first ones we got were in the expansion for the Saiyan expansion and the Mechanic expansion, being Super Saiyan Goku going to SSG Goku, and Piccolo going to Gohan and Piccolo. Now these were probably the strongest ones of them, and the most busted ones, where they were kind of messed up a little bit, making it a bit too strong, to a point where they both had to be errated, where Goku was just like heavily neutered and fell out the meta, and Piccolo was basically errated to be unplayable. Like, still not too bad, but then made so it never saw play again competitively. And as you see, they got Awaken Surge, and when they get the flip over, they were able to do 4 things between energy and draw. So for these two, it was untap 1 and draw 3, which is very good. And they had very strong effects. Piccolo was, at the start of your turn, you look at the top card of your deck, keep it on the top or put it at the bottom, and then draw a card, and that was taken away. So you did the scrying, but no draw. And then Goku was basically on the awakened side. His activate main battle skill could only be activated during your turn, not during your opponent's turn, because that was very strong. And then when they did release these expansions to get these, they also did a special tournament with it, where you got some special tournament packs for playing in this with the expansion, and these allowed you to attempt to get 2 other surge leaders, being Broly and Kefla. Now these are the more balanced leader. Well, Broly is quite a balanced and decent surge leader, while Kefla is just an unplayable, very bad leader. So these were only available in those tournament packs that you got for playing in the event. And these two both Broly had the middle ground of, when you awaken, you untap 2, draw 2. So the 2 cards you put underneath it, you replace them, and then you untap 2 energy, so you get 2 energy out of it. And Kefla was just, you draw 4, which isn't great. Now Kefla is a good example of how they just over nerfed it to be not great. But Broly is an example of how they can actually play him very well, because it's still a deck that's used today. It is popular, Broly, Surge Broly. I've even got myself a Maidens build, which you can check out if you look for my channel, which is quite fun and has quite a strong play as well. But these are leaders that Broly is just an example of how they can actually do leaders properly, and I feel that'd be good if we get more ones. And then lastly, the last 2 color combinations, because there's a surge leader for every color combination, because there's 6 color combinations in total with 4 colors, and those are Goku and Cell. Now currently, Goku is a good example of another way you can do it, by making it very thematic, like they've been doing with the whole Unison Warriors block, where on its own it's not that great, but with its theme, it's a very strong one, but not too strong. Like, it had to have a certain way to play, which was burn, amended because it was uninteractable and not great to play against. But now it's a very fair deck and still a strong deck as well. And Cell is currently one of the top decks in the meta because of its hand destruction route, but it's interactable because of how the hand destruction stuff it has is uninteractable and can't be really played against or interacted with. But on its own is another example of a very good leader that's very fair and balanced, very good, but not overly powerful depending on the support comes with it. So it's only very strong at the moment because of some of the cards that are included in the deck to make it a good hand destruction deck, but if you amend some of those, it then becomes a very fair, decent leader. Now, I feel like we could get some new Surge leaders. Like, there's some good cards that you can make a Surge leader, like for example Bojack. Giving us a blue-yellow Bojack would be cool to support both the colours. Or everyone's like Bardock, giving us a blue-yellow Bardock. Maybe not just in blue-yellow, but everyone's. Like, personally, I'd love it if we got a green-yellow, or green-yellow Goku and Piccolo leader. So like going from the Saiyan saga when they both teamed up together to fight Raditz, having a green-yellow Goku and Piccolo leader would be a pretty good one to support the green and yellow Saiyans and Namekians with the leader, and that would be a pretty good idea. That's my personal something I would like to see. And yeah, if you've got any reasons for why you think that's a bad idea and a good idea, comment down below to give your opinions. It'd be nice to have a discussion, see what people feel. And then for 6-1, this is probably just the most personal to me that I like to see, is for Bandai to release a cube draft product, because we know from Bandai have tried to release draft products recently. They released 6 draft boxes in total for a game and then stopped it after the 6th one. I think they stopped it. I swear when they announced that last one, it was the last one of the kind, and they haven't done a very good job of it. They've done it so it's not great. They started off with a good intention, but not creating it that great. Then they did it a bit too. They made it too busted, or didn't really design it correctly. And then when they finally got it so it was designed decently, they then stopped it. So with the first 3, they were basically just boxes where you get half of one set and half of another of an old set together to draft. And the only benefit from that was in the box there were a chance to get 4 leaders. So they had 4 special leaders in those set, like 4 promo leaders, one of each colour, so a red, blue, green and yellow one. But rather than make it so you had one of each leader in the box, they made it so you had 4 of the same leader in the box. So if you wanted to get a certain leader, you'd have to hope and pray that you pulled it in that box, or hope someone pulled it and wanted to offload one of their spare copies. I feel they could have made it a lot better if they had it one of each leader in each set, which would give people more incentive to go and buy one, because they need to buy one. They get all the packs they can open and enjoy opening and drafting with, and you also get one of each leader, so you don't have to buy any more. But Bandai went the different route and made it so it was frustrating, and not many people wanted to pick them up. Then when they finally did change that to make it more draftable, they made Draft Box 4, which had insanely strong super rares in it, and rares like exclusive cards. They made it so it was half reprints and half exclusive cards, and mostly all the exclusive cards in it were very strong and busted, because they're very generic for draft cubing, but where the product was very limited and hard to get hold of, and the pools were very, 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 very bad to get new cards out of it, the new cards became extremely expensive and put a higher price tag on entry to the game competitively than it's ever been. But they did tune it down, so when we got the 5th one, they made it so it's all brand new cards. I think they made it all brand new cards, and that wasn't too bad, but they still made too many generically powerful cards in it, so the price was still very expensive in there, and the pull rates still weren't that great. And then for the last one, the printing of the quality of the cards was very bad. They made it so it was very plasticky like the cards in it, but they made it a decent set with more themes, like still themes to the colours, but some very decent and strong cards in it. Now they didn't stopping it, but I feel they could just release a cube draft product, which is then they can still give people a draft, but make it just a Highlander one, where it means you only have 1 copy of each card in it, and they can just make it so where it's just a set made for 4 people. So 4 or less players, so it's not too big, so you just have like the same as they've done previously. You have enough cards to have 24 packs worth of cards in it. Puts some leaders in it, like 4 different leaders in it. I create brand new ones or put older ones in it. And yeah, that way, by having it one of each, people can buy multiple if they want to get multiple copies of each one. People can get it so they can draft, and if people are just looking for the collect it, like you can make it alt art or yeah, alternative arts for it, so it'd be more appealing to collectors and stuff. I think that'd be a good idea, but this is really a personal one because I love queue draft in any game personally. And that is it for the 6th one. Now on to the 7th one. The 7th point is different trait support. Now there are some traits in the game they're quite interesting, but they haven't really got any support. Like obviously Saiyans have the most support, then I think Earthlings and I can't remember what the next one is after. I mean, Saiyans and Earthlings are the big, main one, because I remember counting my cube one time what the what traits were, and Saiyans and Earthlings were the like biggest one because they're the main. It's set on Earth in Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball in like all the series, and Saiyans play a big part in it as well. But there are some traits that they do need to support more that they have just left out. Like one of them is Machine Mutants. I loved the set through with Machine Mutants. They felt like gadgets, like from when I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! That brought back some good memories, having like gadgets in the Machine Mutants, the Sigma Force. That was fun. But one that I also enjoyed when they brought them out was the alien support. Now we only really get alien support when we get Universe 6 stuff, because they're counted as aliens. I think even same with the other universes as well. But we got left out on things like the, I think Morganians, I think, from the Battle of the Gods series film. Sorry, when Beerus pops to the planet to see what they're like, see what's going on, and ends up just taking them out. But we got some interesting support in the first draft box, in the first proper draft box 4 with them, and they seem quite fun. But we haven't seen anything since. Like we got a little bit in this new one, but it's mainly skillless stuff to go with the Whist leader. And then some other traits. I feel like this is one that also goes back into my like thought about theme boosters. I'd like to see more traits for the universe cards, but not just like we've got in this new set. We've got each of the angels and stuff, but I'd like to see more universe stuff, like outside of Universe 6, 7, and 11. We don't see much from the other universes. Like Universe 10 has only really got cards from the Draft Box 5. Universe 9 has only got the dog stuff, which is his main focus for it. Universe 4 only a few cards from Draft Box 5 really. Universe 3 got some cards in Draft Box 5 as well, but they mainly got banned because Bandai don't really test, or at the time didn't properly test it, and made it obscenely broken. And Universe 2 is probably like the third, well maybe behind Universe 11. It's like the fourth most supported universe with some good stuff, but doesn't have too much support. Like of all those, like during the Universe 11 gets more support, so does Universe 6. Universe 9 got a reboot leader, but Universe 2 got left out, which is really nice to get a new reboot of the Universe 2 level leader. But like I said, you could make this into a theme booster where you can have like a trilogy set of theme boosters, one after the other, where one supports 4 different universes, the second one supports another 4, and then the last 4 gets supported in the third box. You can do like a trilogy set of theme boosters. You could be like have it like Star Wars, where you have like Return of the Gods, The Gods Strike Back, and a new universe or something like that. Basically, just 3 different sets over time, so it covers all the universes. That would be pretty cool. Because we get to see, you could even then explore, like in the last one, the universe that didn't take part in the Universe Survival Saga, which would be pretty cool. So we can see brand new cards and interesting stuff for those universes, because we didn't see any fires from them. So that's something where they can create new ones. It'd be quite interesting. That might not be possible, but I just thought it'd be a cool thing to talk about. And then the Mechian support. Like we don't get much Mechian support, and when we do, it's alright. Like the only buses, like the only very strong Mechian support we've really got is the Piccolo Surge one, but I wasn't really using Piccolo's Namekian support. I was mainly using the good Piccolo cards, and other than that, it was mainly just the King Piccolo's deck in set 12 because it was very, very good, like very strong, and even to this day is very strong still. Like outside of that, we got the Namekian Wish Leader with Dende into Piccolo. Didn't really use any Namekians, it just used the Freezer stuff. And outside of that, the next closest Namekian deck is probably Lord Slug with its hand destruction deck from the first leader it had in set 4, and then the meme of a mill deck being the Lord Slug mill deck, where instead of milling from deck to drop like most do, it forces your opponent to draw more cards to the deck out by drawing loads. So it'd be nice to see more Namekian support. They have attempted it over the years, but they've always just fell short. And then we got on to 8 idea, which is multicolored skill support. So once again, if you're new to the game and you don't know what multicolored skills are, they're essentially every different color combination got a specific keyword skill that work for itself, and they were Alliance, Aegis, Offering, Revive, Invoker, and Successor, each specific to the different color combinations. And now outside of these, only Aegis has really got any decent support. Like Aegis has been, with blue yellow being the best, like the most favoritive like color combination by Bandai. They're always supporting blue yellow over like a lot more than the rest of them. It'd be nice for them to get some more support. Like we did recently get some support for them. Like Alliance got some good support in the Piccolo Eradicator piece, which was in the 6th draft box. Red Yellow has got a very strong skill in Offering, but that's one of those skills where it's a very good skill, but it's not on many cards, and they have to be careful on what cards they put it on, because it can be very busted on the wrong card. Revive is one that, like, it needs to be KO'd to pull off, and there's a lot of skill. There's a lot of ways to not KO a card but remove it from the board. So it's not the greatest, and it's probably the most lackluster one out of all of them. Then you got Invoker, which has only been exclusively to the Invoker deck. There hasn't been much outside the Invoker deck. It's mainly all support for that deck to support that keyword skill. It'd be nice to see him trout stuff outside of that. And then you got Successor, which was really good there, which if you've played Yu-Gi-Oh, like that's my background anyway, it's similar to Synchro Summoning, where to play the card you need to play this cost of the Successor and send cards on your board that are either green, yellow, and or green, whose total cost equal to the total cost of your card. So if you've got a 12 cost you want to play from your hand, you need to sacrifice 12 costs. You need to pay the energy cost for the Successor skill, and send from your battle area to the drop green, yellow, or green and yellow cards, or cards that are both green and yellow from your board that total costs, pretty costs, equal 12. It's not that difficult to pull off. It's very easy to pull off, and it's a very good skill. But since its release, we haven't seen much support for it. And I would personally like to see Bandai give more support for these ones outside of Aegis, because that seems the only one they remember and keep supporting. And then that brings us to my last point, and my last wish for Dragon Ball in the future, or at least in 2022, and that is more reboot leaders. So ages ago, before we even get onto Unison Warrior Block, I think they keep doing it now as well. For every set, they give like a questionnaire for players to fill out to answer some questions and get some feedback. And one we got a while ago was if they were to reboot any leaders, if they were to remake or reboot any leaders, what leader would people like to have rebooted? And they give everybody a chance to vote for the leader they would like to be rebooted. Like myself personally, I voted for the Set 1 Yellow Ginyu one, because that's the first leader I've ever played, and it's my favourite one in the game. And as a result, from that one, they took the top 5 most voted. Well, I think they took the most 5 top voted leaders from that poll gave out, the questionnaire, And in set 9 they gave us a campaign rare called Reboot Leader Rare, and that provided us with these 5 leaders. So we got a hit, which is a reboot of the leader from set 1. Same with the Beerus, a reboot of the leader from set 1. Then we got Son Goku, SS3 Son Go, which is a reboot of the leader from set 3 that eventually was banned, and it was enjoyed so much people wanted a reboot of it so they could play it again. Then we had another set 1 leader that was rebooted in Son Gohan, and lastly we had Metacaller, like a fan favourite from the card game, rebooted from set 2. Now, most of these were a lot better, were better than their original leader, because that's what they're meant to be. Not all of them were, like SS3 Son Goku isn't better than its old version, but it was a good way to then play that leader again, but in a different way, so it's not as busted. Now, Hit was a very good one, a lot better, like got the draw on the front side, but the only thing that drew it very strong on the Awaken side, but the thing that drew it back was it had no Self-Awaken, and Red isn't the greatest for Self-Awakening, so it kind of it had to have some success with being a red-green deck, making use of Healing Pod and its effect for its auto to play skills from your drop area, so it triggered Healing Pod to draw a card, so you drew 2 cards on the swing, but it fell short competitively. And then we got Beerus, which is a really good. It's a lot better than the old one, but it's only really good in a legacy format. Which what I think I mean by legacy is a format where any card that is banned, limited, or errated is no longer banned, limited, or errated. So it means anything that's banned is not banned and back up to 4 copies. Anything that's limited, well, as many copies as it can be. Anything that's limited is not limited and up to as many copies as it can be. And any card that has been errated is unerrated and back to its original printed skills. And that was good in Beerus because the fact that there was a Hercule in set 2 or 3 where you could play it and ramp and just keep ramping with flute back to hand and keep ramping up. The meat is alternative win condition, and they give you 8 super combos to defend yourself with, and made it a lot easier to ramp up really quickly to 16 to your win. But as a deck, they basically they gave the leader a way to awaken easier by either being at 4 life or having 4 more energy, so easy way to flip over. But they made it to at a certain point you can no longer try to kill your opponent with your leader by doing damage. They made it so if you once your opponent gets to a certain condition, when you do damage, you ramp instead, which meant that if you wanted to go for the kill of there's 2 ways to kill in the deck, 2 main ways to kill, which either reduce your opponent's life to 0 or the deck size to 0. And Beerus is one of the few cards that has an alt win condition, where by paying 16 energy you win the game, but getting this 16 energy is a costly task and a timely task as well. But they basically gave the leader a point where once a certain condition is met for your leader, it no longer tries to do damage, and you're locked out of your leader being able to try to end the game for you, because a leader swing is, with the most, if it's not negated, is probably one of the hardest things to stop from connecting if you don't combo out. Then we have Goku, which yes is similar to the old leader, but changed a lot. So it can still ramp like it did from the old one, but not as easy and more costly. So it doesn't just ramp 2 straight off the bat. It can ramp more, but it reduces your hand size, so you no longer keep a good hand size, and its awaken is only neutral 1. And it's still at the restriction of only having 6 energy, but with its and still having the attack, but its attack being now instead of just draw 1, it's draw 1 and gain 5k. But it's untap at the end. The original one used to just at the end of your turn untap free energy, any free energy. This one is restricted to mono blue energy, so it means if you want to go multicolour, it's a lot harder to do. But it's a more fair leader than the original one. But given the issue with blue, where it's got both blue and yellow both have the same issue of if there's one leader in the colour that could do it better, you just run that one instead. And that one for blue is Soul Striker, which is if Soul Strike gets hit on the ban list, maybe this can come out of the works and maybe be decent. But while Soul Strike is around, Soul Strike is a better option. And then we have one of the reboot leaders that actually got banned. So we got Son Gohan making rebooting the original one, which had like a all or nothing, all in effect, where you could do a certain requirement to give your leader like triple attack or triple strike, but if you don't win the game after that swing or by the end of your turn, you lose the game. So with this one, it could attack potentially 3 times on its awakened turn with its skill, and if you don't win after that, after using that skill to attack that last time, you then lose the game. But it was so aggressive that in best of 1 they banned it because it was too oppressive, and meant that with outside deck you have to main things for that you might not even play it. And then eventually they decided to ban it from best of 3 because it's just as oppressive as best of 1. Even with a sideboard, it meant you had to sideboard cards for just 1 deck, which wasn't great. So they rebooted it to be a lot better, but it was just way too good. And then we have Metacaller, which is like Beerus. It was a bigger improvement on the old one, but still not at all good. And then these aren't all the reboot leaders we've ever gotten. After this, Bandai didn't release any more in the set. Instead, they've given them as promos, and the ones we've got promos are Bergamo, Announcer, Soul Striker, Mecha Frieza, and Raditz. So the first 2, Bergamo and Announcer, we got as a box toppers for a set. I think it was set 12. It might be. I think it was set 12. We got as a box topper, where there are rebooted cards in there of these 2 leaders, 2 fill cards, and I think 2 battle cards as well. I can't remember exactly, but you had a chance of getting these 2. And for Bergamo, they did a really good job. They basically did to them what they should do with every universe leader, where you treat cards in all areas that have the same universe trait as the leader, as if it had no specified cost. And it had an alternative awakening edition, which is a nice thing to add to any leader, especially any of the old leaders from back when the game first started or in the first early sets of the game. The only problem with this is once again it's blue leader, and it was heavily involved on using the Universe 9 stuff, which was very lackluster and not fun to play against. Then we got Announcer. Announcer was a very good one back when it was first released. It was probably the only, outside of Hercule, one of the only competitively viable leaders from the Theme Booster 2, and they rebooted it because it was a popular one. It wasn't as great. It was still better than the old one. Well, maybe better than the old one. Still a decent one, but it wasn't as completely viable to compete with the other decks because of power creep. Then we get on to next 2, which are the stronger ones, the reboots. We got Soul Striker, which is currently the lead that's in debate of being the reason why other blue decks aren't played, because this can nicely do what the rest of them do, but better. And Mecha Frieza being just like Gohan, so good that it needs to be banned because it restricted yellow in a way that any other leader, it could do whatever any other leader wanted to do in yellow, but better. And it restricted game design because of Bandai had to watch out how they printed yellow extra cards. So originally, with Mecha, the extra card that was making it very good, I had the best interaction with it, was banned until people complained because that was a stupid thing to do, and they went back on it and instead banned the leader and then banned the extra card. But yeah, this is one of the cases where so they've had so far 2 reboots that they created way too good and had to end up banning them. So they can make good reboot leaders, but they do have a habit of making things a bit too good. Like Soul Striker is what a lot of people think should be banned because it limits game design, and that's kind of approach what they're going for. They might do that. And then the latest reboot leader we've got is Raditz, which, just like Cooler, is better than the old one, but it's still trash. It's still not good, and Bandai seem to just hate on Raditz. They just don't want them to give him any draw. They just seem to hate on certain characters. But that is it. That is it for my my wishes for it. Those are the things that I hope to see in 2022 or in the future. If you have any, if you disagree with any of my points or support the points or have an opinion, feel free to comment. Like, just mention it. I love to get discussion about this, to see what everybody else thinks, everybody that watches my videos thinks, and get a bit of a discussion going, because it's quite an interesting thing to see what people like want to kind of see or hope to see in the future. But that's it from me. I've been ScrubGames. Feel free to leave a like down the video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below, as I said, if you've got any opinions about what I've said or want to start some discussion. And lastly, to see more of this from me and more discussion videos, deck profiles and things like that from me, feel free to subscribe. Helps me with my goal to get 1,000 subs, which I'm a quarter way there so far, and also lets you know when my videos drop, especially if you click the notification bell, which gives you an alert when they do. But once again, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye for now.